Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello friends. So, as we inch towards the close of this course on employment communication, I have for you lecture 37, Success in Personal Interviews. This is the last of the lectures on personal interviews, the third section of the 3 segmented course on employment communication, that is first of all CV writing, second GD, and third is personal interview or PI in short. So, this is a lecture in which I will introduce you to the concept of behavioral or situational interview, the video interview, and thirdly the telephonic interview. So, this is the in thing nowadays, this is the trend nowadays, that instead of a traditional interview in which you are asked traditional type of questions which we have covered in lecture 37, you are asked behavioral or situation based questions, because the organization would like to see how you would behave in a particular situation. And we will also talk about telephonic and video interviews. So, in short, this is the concept, these are the concepts I will be covering in this lecture. First of all, how to prepare for the behavioral or the situational interview. In your answer, what you will be saying, how to prepare for video interviews, and if you are asked to prepare the videotape and send it back as response to the video interview, what you will do, how to prepare for a phone interview, and what are the communication behaviors of successful and unsuccessful interviewees, and finally we will conclude with checklists for evaluating interviews. So, there are 2 things to be kept in mind if you are preparing for a behavioral or situational interview. As I said, this is an interview in which the board or the interview board or the organizer or the recruiter will be placing before you a question which will evince a response from you to test how you would behave, act, respond, react given a certain situation. So, they get an idea of how you will behave if placed in a similar situation in their organization or company. So, the first approach to this type of questions in an interview of this type is to think about the skills you have used that could transfer to other jobs as well, and secondly to learn as much as you can about the culture of the company you hope to join, because certainly there will be questions about our company is operating like this, and given the idea or given the situation that you are placed in this context, how will you react or respond, what will you do. So, in your answer, this is what is commonly called the STAR technique. Describe the situation, that is ST, tell what you did, tell what you did. A, the action you took, describe the outcome, or R, the results. So, S for situation, T for tell what you did, A, action, what you did, R, describe the outcome or the result of that action which you had taken. So, also you have to show that you understand the implications of what you did and how you might modify your behavior in other situations, because you see, this is not a plain what is X and you reply X is this. It is not that kind of simple question as it appears to be on the face of it. This is a question in which they will want you to respond to this situation in other context also as well, given the unique background of their company or organization or their workplace as such. So, we define now in conclusion, situational interviews are those which put you in a situation that allows you as an interviewer, interviewee, and the interviewer can see whether you have the qualities the company is seeking or not. Then we have the second kind of interviews nowadays, which is very common because of paucity of time, scarcity of time, everybody is so busy, and this is possible because you have high-end phones and gadgets for communication, Android and iOS, which can be in fact updated with whatever telephonic interview app the organization might ask you to upload, or simply a telephonic interview can take place. Way back in 1996, let us say around 18 years ago, you had telephonic interviews just beginning. So, in this case what you can do is to prepare for the telephonic interviews, you can tape yourself so that you can make an adjustment in pronunciation and voice qualities. You can practice short answers to questions. Number 3, after giving a short answer in the interview, say, because there will be a uncomfortable and you do not know how long it will stretch, there will be a period of pause or silence from the other end, and so you can ask, would you like more information, or can we move to the next question? And the point, there is a limitation about the telephonic interviews, that without a visual channel you cannot see the body language of the interviewer, and so you can't understand when the other person wants to speak. If you have a face-to-face communication across the table or the desk, then you can see the interviewer, and when he or she pauses and also stops the gaze or the eye contact, or shifts the gaze or eye contact, you can understand that okay, now it's my turn to speak, it's time for me to speak. So, this is one limitation of the telephonic interview. And next we move to the kinds of video interviews which are in currency today, and there are two kinds of video interviews. The first kind is a live interview using VC mode, video conferencing equipment, and for this VC interview you have to use the same guidelines which I have provided for the telephonic interview. For the second kind of interview, the company will send you a list of questions asking you to tape your responses and send it back to them. Now, what will you do in such a situation? Let us say you are preparing for the phone interviews. As we said, you have to practice giving short answers because you do not know the duration of the interview. You also do not know the response of the other because it is being conducted across a communication channel in which you are not face to face with the interviewer, and so you do not know when he or she will stop and when you have to begin, or maybe you have to elaborate more. So, best is to practice short answers. Keep on retaping your practice sessions until you think that you are looking good, or you are doing a good performance, or this is your best possible performance. Suppose you have a telephonic interview to be conducted, then always choose the home front and not the workplace, because there will be so much of noise and other things on your mind. This is pending, the boss is calling, so on and so forth. And also plan it for a time when in the home front as well things will be quiet. It is not time for children to play or for the tuition to come or the tutor to come and children to make noise while studying, so on and so forth. Secondly, if a company wants to interview right on the spot, that we would like to interview right now, except only if the timing is good. Otherwise, you can say that you can say something like, we just sat down to prayer or dinner, or we just sat down to do our weekly prayers or something, or weekly meditation, and could you please call back in 30 minutes, and during this time you can get the information about the company which called you up on the telephone, and ask the family and friends, whoever is there in the house, to be quiet and get your thoughts in order, so that you are in position to receive the telephonic call and begin the telephonic interview. And if you are asked to prepare the videotape in the other case and send back your responses, practice again your answers, short ones, tape the interview as many times as necessary to get one version which presents you at your best, and lastly, be specific. Again, the point is that since the employer cannot ask follow-up questions because the questions have been sent to you in advance, there are one-time questions and there is no follow-up questions after that. So, you need to be quite detailed, but specific, in fact oriented towards the question, because the smallest of the details can help build up your credential, and your employer will be helped in taking decisions whether to choose you, select you and offer you the job or not. So, the final advice, whether it is the telephonic interview or the video interview, smile. You know that you are not face to face with them when you are sending back them the taped response. You know you are not face to face with them when you are having a telephonic interview, but whatever it is, when you smile, what happens is it puts more energy into your talk. You become fully charged with positive energy. You are in a happy frame of mind, and this positivity, this happiness will bring you to a confident level where you can do your best and get the job you aspire for. I would like to show you in a small table the communication behaviors of successful and unsuccessful interviewees. So, since this is the last lecture on personal interviews, this would be helpful because it is from both sides of the desk, whether on one side you are the interviewee and the other side the interviewer. Both of you or both of these two persons or two sets of persons can decide what kind of communication behavior to display and how an interviewee or a candidate can be successful and what makes a candidate unsuccessful communication behavior wise. So, this is quite a big long table, and there are around 11 questions which are asked, and I will be only reading you out aloud the ones in blue font. Let us say that we have 11 questions, and the first question would be statement about the position. An unsuccessful interviewee would have only a vague idea of what the employer or the interviewee wanted him or her to do, because he would say something like, this is my ideal job, that is, let us say, teaching, but in the last 10 years I have changed my job 6 times and this is creating a wrong impression. Then a successful interviewee, on the other hand, would be specific and consistent about the position he or she wanted, and successful interviewees were able to tell specifically, consistently and concretely why they wanted the job and the position they wanted to occupy. Then you have the next one, which I would like to draw your attention to, is the level of interest or enthusiasm. If the questions asked are towards this angle, then unsuccessful interviewees responded neutrally to the interviewer's questions and said statements like and responded like in words such as okay and I see. This indicated the reservations about the company or the locations they might be placed at. On the other hand, the successful interviewees expressed approval of the information provided by the interviewer verbally as well as non-verbally and said that's great, and explicitly upfront they indicated the desire to work for this particular company. If you come to number 6, picking up on the interviewer's clues, as I said, practice will make you perfect in this art. What happens is that the unsuccessful interviewees gave vague or negative answers even when a positive answer was desired from them. For example, how are your math skills? And on the other hand, you have the successful interviewees and they answered positively and confidently. They backed up their claims with a specific example of problem solving or toughness acquired in maths. We have the 8th one. Suppose the question or the interview wanted to test your use of industry related terms or what is called technical jargon. The unsuccessful interviewees hardly used any technical jargon in their responses. On the other hand, the successful interviewees used technical jargon, for example, point of purchase display, NCR charge, 2-column approach and direct mail. We will do one last one, which is the 11th one, which is very important because this interview is the most purposeful, planned one-to-one conversational activity related to decision making on both sides of the desk. It's about time and topics, control of time and topics. While you have the unsuccessful interviewees, they talked 37% of the interview time and they initiated 36% of the comments, whereas the successful interviewees talked 55% of the time, total time of the interview, and they initiated subjects 56% of the time. So, that brings us to a close of this topic on communication behaviors of successful and unsuccessful interviewees. I would like to show you this short video titled 7 Body Language Tips to Impress at Your Next Job Interview. Please observe and make your notes.
Have you been to an interview recently, been perfectly qualified for the role, you've answered all the questions correctly, but still been rejected? Well, the answer could lie in your body language. Recent studies suggest that only 7% of your communication are the actual words you say. 38% are certain vocal elements like your intonation, but 55% is your non-verbal. Things like your facial expression, your gestures, your posture. So this video is going to look at the messages you've been sending out with your body language and how to tweak those to make sure you're sending out all the right signals at your next interview. So think about your body posture. A very natural thing for people to do is to slouch in the chair or fold their arms. And this looks like you're making yourself smaller, wrapping yourself up. And the signal you're giving off to the interviewer is that you're defensive or nervous. Instead, open up your body, don't cross your legs or fold your arms, but engage slightly forward from the waist, and this will give the appearance to the interviewer that you're interested. If you're jiggling about a lot in the chair, changing your body posture, or you're playing with the button on your shirt or the ring or other objects, you're going to appear anxious and nervous, and certainly the interviewer is going to be less inclined to have confidence in you. So a really good tip is to first slow your breathing down. This will slow your heart rate and make you feel less nervy. Keep your hand gestures steady and only to emphasize a point. Palm upwards signifies that what you're saying is honest and trustworthy. Touching your heart signifies that what you're saying is genuine. Steepling is a sign of confidence. Conversely, clasping your hands is a sign of self-comfort and anxiety. So make sure you avoid these. Mirroring the interviewer is an effective technique, but it needs to be done very subtly. Mirroring hand movements or positive gestures, waiting 10 seconds though before you do it yourself. You can also mirror your speech, so their vocabulary, their jargon, the rate or volume of their speech. People trust those that are similar to themselves, so this makes the interviewer feel at ease and you're more likely to build rapport with them. This is so important. Interviewees often avoid the gaze of the interviewer or they look down. But by looking at the interviewer's eyes, you're asserting your confidence, your trustworthiness. Instead of staring at the interviewer, alternate your gaze between the left eye, the right eye, the mouth, maybe every 3 seconds, just enough to see the colour of the interviewer's eyes. For panel interviews, make sure you look at everybody, but specifically focus your attention on the person who's asking you the question or is speaking at the time. To avoid line signals, the main rule is avoid touching your face. So especially your nose, your mouth, your ears, your sideburns. These are all signs that will suggest to your interviewer that you're being dishonest with the way that you're answering their questions. So the handshake is an obvious one, but so many people get this wrong. It's the unspoken word that initiates conversation in any social or professional get-together. Too firm and you'll seem too dominant. Too weak and you'll seem underconfident. Instead, always initiate the handshake, match the interviewer's grip, apply the 1-2 second rule, smile and repeat their name. By putting these body language tips into practice, you'll be giving off the right impression at your next interview. Now all you need to worry about is what you're actually going to say.
So I hope that you have in fact learnt the 7 ways or the 7 body language tips to impress at the next interview, and we will now be moving to the checklist, the final part of this presentation. From both sides of the desk, the interview has to be evaluated because finally it is a cost incurred by the company. You have also incurred a cost, time, energy, effort to come to this venue and put on your best for being selection process. So, we have 3 parts to the interview, and if you think about the opening, the first is that sincere appropriate pleasantries are exchanged to help both parties feel comfortable, and this is the last and final points we will be saying on interviewing, and therefore, let us note down these points properly. The second is that the required tone is to be established, formal versus informal, serious versus casual from both sides, and the interviewer previews the subject and approaches the question asking session. If you come to the body, interviewer's nonverbal behavior reflects interest and lack of threat to interviewee, and therefore, the interview can be considered good as far as the evaluation standards are concerned. Secondly, the interviewer asks enough questions to cover all content areas established in advance, because they have a set of questions they would like to ask, so that a complete analysis of the candidate is made, so that proper, exact and right decision is taken. Thirdly, the interviewer uses probes to explore interviewer's responses, for example, repeating the question, amplifying the question, paraphrasing, and also silence. Silence because it may make you speak, or it may make you wait, or you may say that can we move forward, or can I ask some questions. Fourth is that the interviewee gives clear and detailed answers, and as an interviewee you can keep track of the subject and be on track of the question as well. You can correct any misunderstandings of the interviewer, if any, and the interviewee can then achieve his or her goal. If we come to the closing, the last part of the interview, the interviewer will review the results of the interview. If there are interviewers, they will exchange notes and think what to do with a combined result. Future relationship between the interviewer and interviewee is established because you have met face to face, personal front. Intimacy has been at least initiated, and in future you can be contacting each other. And lastly, the sincere pleasantries are exchanged and the interview comes to a close. I would like you to again watch this video on interviewer technique. Please continue.
Hello, Chloe. I'm Andy Davis, I'm HR Manager and I'm the Chair of the panel. My colleagues will introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Ian Williamson, Head of Health and Safety.
Hello. Hi, Chloe. Jenna Burton, HR Advisor. Hi.
Pleased to meet you all.
Please take a seat, Chloe. I've already poured you some water, but if you need any more as we go through, please just let me know and I can get you some more.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Chloe, the purpose of the interview today is so we can find out a little bit more about you in order to decide who to appoint. We have prepared some questions and all the panel members will be asking questions as we go through. There's no trick questions in this, they're all about you, so you should be able to answer them. And clearly we will be assessing against elements on the person specification, and at the end of the interview I will give you an opportunity to ask us questions.
That's great, very clear, thank you.
No problem. So okay, the first question is from me, so can you explain to me what first attracted you to this post?
Well, I've been in the same role now for about 3 years. And whilst I've been there, I feel I've acquired a lot of skills.
Yeah.
And I'd like to put these to good use.
Okay. You mentioned the skills that you'd acquired in your previous role. Could you explain to me what skills that you think you'd be able to transfer into this role?
Yes, I've got good organisational skills. I've also assisted in organising stock orders.
Okay.
And I've also helped out when organising the casual staff rotas.
Brilliant, thanks very much.
Good communication skills are an integral part of this role, as is completing paperwork and various bits of customer interaction. Can you demonstrate your written and verbal communication skills?
Yes, I have a C in GCSE English, and also as part of my MVQ I've had to complete written assignments. In my current role I have interaction with customers on a daily basis, so I understand the need for good communication, and also for treating people the way that I would like to be treated myself.
Yeah, lovely, thank you.
Great. Okay. And could you give me an example of when you've worked as part of a team to achieve a particular goal? Do you want me to repeat the question?
My mind's gone blank, sorry, I'm just struggling to think of an example.
It's okay.
Not a problem. Think about your current role. Do you work as part of a team there?
Yes, particularly at busy times, we all dig in to get the jobs done that we need to, even if it means doing the tasks that I wouldn't necessarily normally do.
That's great, thank you.
Have you ever had to deal with a difficult customer or customer complaint?
Yes, there was an occasion where I dealt with a difficult customer. She put in a complaint because of the amount of time it had taken to get served. I had apologised for it, and I explained the reason why it had taken so long. After I dealt with the customer, I did report it to the supervisor so that she could look at the staffing levels at peak times.
Okay, thank you.
That sounds great, thank you. I think that's the end of our questions now, but as promised, do you have any questions for us?
Yes, would I be required to work at weekends?
Well, yes, as outlined in the person specification and the advert, the role requires 5 days in any 7 for work, so obviously that does include some weekends. What we'd want to do is actually agree those days with the successful candidate.
Okay, that's great, thank you.
No problem at all. Well, thanks for attending the interview. We've obviously got a few other people to see today, so we're hoping to ring the successful candidate tomorrow. Which would be the best number to get you on? Is it your work or your mobile number?
The mobile number would be the better one. If I don't answer, then I'll be able to call you back in my break.
Yeah, no problem at all. We understand that can be a bit difficult. But thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers, Chloe. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Very nice to meet you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I hope that you have made your notes and will work upon it to have success in interviews. Wish you all the best in your employment communication attempts. These are few of the references I have used in preparation of lecture 37, Success in Personal Interviews, and thank you for being with me, and may God bless you.